Hello, welcome to Line War, and today we have Haako versus Proshelest. We have Pro, I'm going to call him, in the bottom right hand corner, which surprised me because Haako chose this area here completely unchallenged with all this eco. There is 1, 2, 3 potential cities, a docks town, and another town right here with 2 energy wells fairly close enough to him. It surprised me for 2 reasons. I thought that either Pro would go for this area as well, blacklisting it, or would go for this area with the energy wells so he can put up a fight knowing that this is a key location. But instead, Pro went all the way down here and has gone for barracks everywhere to try and expand fast, so he's definitely going for a territory advantage. But if Haako can keep up with it, he might be able to out-eco his opponent quite easily using the industries and towns available to him. He's gone for 2 airfields at the beginning, barracks, and another barracks and a factory. That's what's building there. And it looks like he's gone for some eco already early on in this game, trying to get that up and running. But he is currently out of eco, but that will soon come back to him. However, with Pro, he has no eco because he spent all of it on barracks and a factory here. So he's actually running out of eco. But these territories are going to be claimed a lot faster, and he's going to be able to make his eco balance out without having to cost him any money to do so. So these units are just going to spread across the map quite nicely, covering it. But Haako already has quite a lot of visibility over the majority of the map. He's focused more of his units going down this way, because that's where the majority of the map is. If he can cut off Proshelest up here, because he doesn't know where he is, or Proshelest up here, then that would cut off the map. So he needs to take over this much of the map as quick as possible. But judging by the line setup, so he's focused on coming down here and then round, the engagement isn't going to come until quite a bit into this game. And Haako will probably easily be able to figure out where his opponent is, whereas Pro is going to struggle to figure out where Haako is coming from, with his units coming from this way and from the north at the same time. It might be harder to figure out where Haako is if he hasn't figured it out from the beginning. So because of this, I am probably going to speed it up a little just to get to the engagement. So far we've got helicopters coming out over there, which is one of the best air units in my opinion. So we've got timescale 2 at the minute. There is a trade route on this side of the map, so there's one there going to that, or one here going all the way down here. I don't think there's a trade route on this side of the map, and there are no extra islands to play on, so it is just this one big island. Haako is going for some extra eco. He's slowly building up his industries one at a time by the looks of things, so he doesn't want to forget about the eco, but at the same time he doesn't want to focus too much on it. He wants to get his production going as well. So he's got 5 production structures against Pro's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's where Pro's advantage is coming from, but that only lasts a short amount of time when your enemy has the eco advantage. But Pro eventually will have good visibility over what he can see. We have the first visible sight of the enemy from both these areas. From Haako's point of view, can see the enemy has sent his air units to guard this line here. You can see a lot of infantry, but this is an interceptor. So the striker went up here for some reason. I think it was just to scout and make sure he wasn't there. And then he spotted him down here. So he sent his helicopters to go into this forest here to try and take out the enemy. Going to slow it back down now. There we go. So they are going to try and force him back out there. And he is retreating in this location. He has set up some forward production over here. And he doesn't seem to be caring too much about eco. So we do have some eco structures to be placed there, but they are kind of risky at this point in the game now. Haako is flying over with his units as a pretty good scout to see what's around. These riflemen can shoot this interceptor, but they're not going to really do that much damage to it. Haako has spotted these units coming through, so he's sending his artillery through forward. He's got an energy well already, and he's not too worried about his eco at this point. He's going to get another energy well. By the looks of that structure, I think. So he spotted the enemy, he wants to focus on that for now. And it looks like both players are spotting each other across a very large line on this map. There's a lot of opportunities for both players to try and sneak around the army. But I think Pro has a good spread on his army, which is making him weak at certain points. However, if Haako was to try and force his way through one section, the other units could come through and go round. So both players do have a good situation right now, especially with the amount of stealth available to them with the forest. So Haako's got a good advantage with unit composition. He's got the artillery coming through the forest here, which is going to be very good against the infantry, but the mass infantry are going to be able to push through that section if they wanted to and overpower those artillery, especially in this game where the movement speed is a little bit faster. There we go. From Haako's point of view, he's got his line set up. He's going to try and push through as a line rather than walk through with the lines. The helicopters are coming over here. He spotted the units getting into position, so Pro is trying to push through, as well as Haako trying to just hold his position. And we also have a few little engagements going on around the map. Haako's trying to push some units around the side completely, so they're going to try and sneak through, claiming the territories around this way. And from Pro's perspective, he's got quite a lot of units in this forest, and they're going to have no issue taking over this area unless those helicopters come in and try and do some extra damage there. Player Haako appears to have lost connection and will time out in 50 seconds. From Haako's point of view, he hasn't lost connection, but it's still going to be playing, so he does reconnect at some point. There we go, he's managed to reconnect, it's fine. The helicopters are finally coming in now. They are going to do a lot of damage to the infantry unchallenged, so Pro really needs to get his infantry in there and take out these airfields if he continues to go mostly infantry. He has got some SAM units on site right now, mostly SAM. They're actually producing only SAM. And Haako is trying to sneak some commandos back behind the front lines. He's targeting the energy well, however there is no energy there to hit, so he's going to just try and sneak around the back and get some information from that instead. And the strikers are coming in, which will do a fair amount of damage. The interceptor's coming in anyway because he's got enough energy to support it, so any extra damage on these infantry is a good thing. For Haako anyway. The SAM units are lagging a little bit behind there, which is unfortunate for Pro, because they weren't able to get enough damage on these air units as they were attacking. It kind of looks like Haako is surrounding Pro, putting a lot of pressure on, but Pro has snuck out through the side at the bottom of the map. And unfortunately, can't see the commandos that are in his base right now. So if we switch to Haako, where are they? They are going around here trying to take out this structure. Mostly just sneaking around for a visual sneak peek. The helicopters are trying to trap any units that come through this little gap here, which is a great idea because they are trying to get through there. And they have just been denied that. And Haako can't really see too much on what's going on here. He hasn't got too many units left going this way. Which means Pro is going to have the ability to try and come back in this section. He's going to be able to take him over quite easily with the force he's got going around there. And this is why I like the infantry, because you can control a front line here. Even if you can't win it, you can still control it, especially if they use a lot of artillery, which isn't quite the case here. The helicopters seem to be the main attribute to this composition. But having control over there, being able to stop them, but still being able to press forward in different locations is why I kind of like the infantry. I don't say it's the best strategy, but it's just why I find it more enjoyable to play with them. Haako has noticed the force going through that way, and it looks like he's trying to send his helicopters over there to deal with them. And he's just trying to spot them as they go. He's getting some of them. However, most of the force is over here now. But he has more ability to use commandos. He's got 2 transport jets over there, so he can drop the commandos anywhere he wants with those. He's got his units coming through here. They've even managed to sneak through the side there. Looks like Haako did lose his commandos, but he managed to get one destroy on the structure there. He's going to try and use his other units to come through, and they're going to finish off the jobs over there. It looks like Pro is putting a lot of pressure on here, and Haako has retreated pretty much all the way to his main base. But Haako has some tanks in, and it looks like he's going to try and sneak him around to hit the SAM units at the back, so that the helicopters have better range to destroy these. Well, actually, it's more strikers at this point over here. Those helicopters went down this way to try and take on the infantry that were down there. And to be fair, as it was only infantry down here, they're pretty much unchallenged until they land. And he's still focused on his eco, so let's have a look at how the eco is playing out so far. We've got Pro with 800, pretty much 900 per minute. And a Haako who has 1,100 per minute, because he has expanded a bit of his eco. Got 3 industries now, but still not too worried about investing a lot of money in that eco. Instead, he's changed his mind. He's not going to try and target these SAM units at the back line here. He's going to send his tanks straight in there as these units are getting through, and I assume he wants to get as much DPS there as possible. So he's going to try and sneak those tanks in through the back and follow them up with commandos. So from Pro's perspective, he can't see too much of what's actually going to happen next. All he can see is he's got the pressure, he's got a fairly good advantage, but at the same time, has to control a lot of this battlefield. He's pretty much taken over this section of the map, and will soon be able to use these units to put pressure up this way. But you can see the commandos coming in, and they will get dropped off in this section. He's trying to reinforce this area with some units. As the commandos are dropped in there, backed up by these units, the tanks have just become invisible now. And there's some strikers in the area, but I think he's just deleted that line. Oh no, they were going to the airfield or airstrip in the mountains there. So Pro could have spotted that, but I don't know if he will. So those strikers are going to be trying to strike specific targets by the looks of it. Haako's pushing forward again. He doesn't want his defense to be right at his base, so he's going to try and push some units forward. Making sure that Pro is putting pressure on and trying to understand the pressure, I guess. See how much pressure there is. There we go. The tanks are rolling through the base right now, and I don't know what Pro's plan is to stop them. He's pretty much just sent anything and everything he can towards them. So his tanks are going to run straight past this town. They're going to probably destroy it as they go by. They are possibly just going to continue driving if they don't destroy it in time. Are they going to leave it heavily damaged, or are they going to actually get that kill? They're going to leave it standing, but I'm assuming the strikers will be able to take that out quite easily. Oh, he's bringing the tanks back instead. There we go. So the tanks are prioritizing the strike command, and after that goes away, they will continue to follow this blue command down there. And after that, he's going to take out the industry there. You can see he's changed the line there. Over here, we have Pro's infantry overwhelming Haako's infantry. Even when supported by these helicopters, Pro just has far too much infantry on the ground. And his infantry are also coming through this section of the map, which it looks like Haako might not be able to control either. At least not for now, but these tanks are going to come straight through these SAM units. And over here we have the tanks are going to do a lot of damage here, but they are under quite a lot of fire from these artillery. and are struggling to move through this section. But the tanks are faster than the artillery. They do get away for now. But if I remember correctly, he's got them coming straight back through him. But he's getting a lot of information at this point as well. He can see a lot of the enemy's base when doing this. And unfortunately for Pro, this infantry just wasn't enough to hold off against the production that's going on here that's reinforcing this area. And the same might be able to be said here. I don't know. So how much has Pro got left here? He's sending them in this way. I'm not sure. I think if I had all those units there, I'd be sending them straight up through here to try and get more information as well. But Haako's got even more tanks coming through the center now. They're going to just plow straight through this army, I think. He's got them on a circle command. They will take out these SAM units very fast, and that will give his helicopters and strikers much better chance to take out a lot of the ground forces in this area. The strikers are taken off now. They're going to be taking on the structures over in this area. The tanks did go down, unfortunately, before they could finish off their strike command. Over here, the tanks are putting on a lot of pressure as the infantry move forward behind them. And that is forcing Pro to pretty much come back to his base now. Despite all of this production, he's been distracted quite heavily by the tanks and the strikers coming in, the commandos that he's been doing or dealing with. And it's put him in a bad position right now, but these reinforcements coming in this way might actually help against this attack here. But I don't know if it would have been more important to make the distraction going up here instead. Especially when you're so close to the structures. These tanks are pretty much just rolling over this army right now. They are taking a lot of heavy damage right now, but it is pretty effective. It is distracting the army, allowing these infantry to make a lot of progress. The strikers are hitting the specific targets. Pro knows exactly where these are coming from. He's going to go straight up through here and try and take out that airstrip. He can see them landing there, but he can't see the airstrip. There's a lot of infantry here that Haako's been building up, but it doesn't look like he's remembered to... or he's focused over there. Because he does need to defend it. And they are getting attacked now, which is unfortunate if he doesn't spot this. Especially when he has the ability to defend it. We got some tanks going off in a sneaky direction here. It looks like Pro has changed his mind on progressing. Yeah, these units are going straight up through here instead now. The tanks are redirecting to take them out or intercept them. Over here it looks like Pro is building up a lot of SAM units, and they are going to be starting to take out these air units as they come through. We originally had Pro with the mass infantry that's trying to take out Haako, but Haako's got a lot of his infantry left over from the tank attacks, and they are now trying to overwhelm the enemy instead. Over here the tanks are going to be very effective against taking out these infantry. There is quite a lot of them there, and it looks like Haako has managed to take control over this area again, at least for now. Pro doesn't have any units to defend it. I think Haako's on the retreat right now. He's just going to build up his forces once again before he goes forward. He's going to send his helicopters in to see if he can get any damage done with those instead. He's now pushing forward, and he's hoping the helicopters will support that advance, I think. Unfortunately, Haako seems to be having an issue with energy right now. So his tanks have been very effective, but they are also costing him a lot of energy, and that might slow his helicopters' progression down in the center here. He doesn't like the way the battle's going. He's retreating those forces. And the eco for Haako right now, this is quite late now into the game, it's 1,190, whereas Pro is at 1,000, so they are fairly equal. Both their forces keep clashing in the center and they keep pushing each other back, so they're not making too much progress. But Haako is trying to push through and poke holes into the enemy's defense. trying to find a weak point. And in games like this is the sort of strategies that actually end up winning the battles. Even up here, it looks like Haako lost the airstrip that was here, but he has got a lot of units still being produced here. The tanks have ran out of energy. They're not going to move for a while. But his infantry is still claiming this area now, so they're going to be able to take over a lot of the eco that Pro actually had from the beginning. The SAM units are coming in now. They are eventually getting there, and the helicopters are going to start getting challenged now. And one goes down, so we still have some more helicopters in the area, but I think with the lack of energy, he might hold off on that for a bit. Might be wise to try and move them, though, if he can, into a bit of a safer location. Haako's feeling a lot more confident right now. He's got a lot of units on this front line, and it looks like they will be able to create this big giant curve around the enemy, which he might feel a bit better about on the assault side of things now. Otherwise, on the other side of things, he is trying to expand quite heavily. Got his tanks slowly moving in with the energy issues he's having. Up in the north, he is still putting pressure there as well. It looks like Pro is just trying to focus on the center and push through here. I think he's just trying to take out this area. If he can take out that production, he may have a good chance of winning. But I just don't think he's getting through. Haako is managing his units around the map, quite balanced. And it looks like Haako's just built a nuke. Unless he had that there before, I haven't spotted it yet. Unfortunately, it looks like Haako isn't quite getting through here. He's got a lot of units there, but these artillery are doing so much damage to the infantry as they take out other infantry. He's going to struggle, but there aren't that many SAM here yet. There are some over here. If he can move the SAM units into this section, they might be able to help to protect these artillery against helicopters, and the artillery will protect the SAM against infantry. But the only problem is, Pro is trying to effectively work this, so you can see he's actually done what I said. He's trying to get the SAM to go over there. But at the same time, he spotted Haako moving in on this side, causing extra pressure for Pro. And over this side, eventually, Pro's going to have to deal with the army that's going to be moving in this way. And as you can tell, Pro's eco is taking a hit from the lack of defense over this way. He's losing his territory, and that's causing his eco to not be as far ahead as it should be. So he is now losing money, which is slowing down the production here and not allowing his front army to be reinforced. On the other side of it, Haako is taking territory and allowing himself to increase his production. So you can see Haako's trying to manage the units up here as well as the frontline units here. And Haako's main issue is this artillery, this mini artillery blob, so he sent in the tanks to try and deal with them. And even if these tanks lose this fight, they would have done so much damage that the infantry would be able to take over afterwards. But the rocket hasn't started producing yet, so we've got nearly there. As soon as that hits 500, it will drop down, but it keeps on dropping a bit faster. But as soon as it hits 500, it will take it for the rocket, and then that'll start producing. I don't think Haako's going to need it in this game, though. As you can see, the helicopters are supporting this area as well. So those helicopters are going to take out these units quite easily, especially with the production of units that are coming through. Though there are quite a few units there, maybe he will be able to hold up against it. And Haako is slowly bringing in some units this way. He's got some production there. And these units are happily just going to take extra territory away from Pro, further increasing the issue he's having with his economy. But from Pro's side of things, he is really struggling with economy, and it's stopping the production of certain structures where they're not able to produce anymore, simply because they can't afford to do so. So this area has been completely battered before even a rocket has launched. It looks like it's been launched already and it hasn't. Haako is slowly pushing through, even on the center part now, because of the economy issues the Pro's having. So Haako is slowly applying more and more pressure in this area. And again over here, even though this army looked like it could easily overwhelm what Haako had there, unfortunately the production and the helicopter support was just able to wipe out the units that were doing that. And even later on, it looks like there's a tank there, and the infantry that would come through this way would have eventually won the match anyway, but it looks like Pro has left. So we're at the end of the match. There are 2 videos on screen right now, and if you like them, I'll see you there. And feel free to subscribe. I have got about 70% of non-subscribers watching my videos. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.